It is time to get raw. It is time to throw down. It is time for the #1 WWE show that airs on Tuesdays. It is time for the Turnbuckle Tavern's RAWDOWN. I am your host this week, Young Anthony of the Titantron podcast, joined with me, not by Tom, not by J-Bone, but with the one and only, the MVP, Marco of the Chick Foley podcast. What's going on, my man?
Nothing much. I'm this is my first time being on. I'm pretty excited. I'm glad you're having me on. We're kind of pirating. We're taking over the RAWDOWN. I'm taking the OG Fig Kid spot. So
hey, whenever we can replace the OG Fig Kid, I'm perfectly happy with that. So I'm glad you're able to make it. But before we get into it, tell me a little bit about what's going on with the Chick Foley Show. You guys are past the 150 mark. You've had some great episodes. Talk to me about what's going on over there.
Man, we're doing a lot of stuff. We just started messing with the with video, so you can catch us on all your streaming services as well as YouTube now. So just search Chick Foley Show and we pop up. We dropped a few Patreon exclusive episodes for our Foley fan members, and we called it the Halloween Havoc effery. I'm not going to say the full word because it's a family friendly show, but we went to the Halloween Havocs of yesteryear and did some reviews or watch alongs on some of the main events. So like we did Hogan Warrior, we did the Hogan as well, Hogan versus a Giant, and then the special appearance with the Yeti. We did the Thunderdome. We did a bunch of episodes. So that's pretty much new. And other than that, new episode coming up this week, and we're going to talk all things wrestling.
Awesome. You guys are one of my favorite podcasts going right now. So I love to see that you guys are putting out so much content.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. And before we get into it, just a cheap plug on my behalf. Classic Match Classroom just posted our Halloween episode. We went into and looked at the debut of It's Gotta Be Kane. It's gotta be Kane.
Classic.
So we looked at not only the moment, but the whole match of Shawn versus Undertaker and the whole feud that include Mankind, DX, La Femme Nikita, the whole thing of 97. So definitely to our viewers, if you haven't already checked it out, make sure you go ahead and check out the Classic Match Classroom as well as the Chick Foley Show. But before all of that, let's get into some RAWDOWN talk. So we're going to just go right into things. I actually want to start this week with some news outside the ropes. Basically just some stories that happened outside of what we would see on Raw or SmackDown. And I think the main thing that I took from this week was the whole controversy, and I guess if you want to call it the beef between Bray Wyatt and Vince McMahon. There was a lot of creative differences, apparently, especially when it had to do with the WrestleMania 37 Randy Orton feud. And now we're getting a lot of that coming to fruition. Vince apparently didn't like that Bray was so outspoken about everything, such as him not liking the Burnt Fiend outfit. He thought it was too heavy, he couldn't work in it. So the whole angle was scrapped. So a lot of tension here that adds to everything that's been going on between these guys. What's your take on all this?
There was a lot of new developments. I've been kind of following along. The main thing is I can't wait till we actually hear Bray Wyatt's side. I'm hoping he doesn't hop on a podcast and that type of deal. I'm hoping he does it himself. Kind of like how Keith Lee broke his silence on his absence.
Right.
He took to social media and he put out his own story as opposed to, going out anywhere and slandering or saying, things, where, the dirt sheets can grab it and, take hold of it. So I'm hoping something like that happens because I do want to hear his side of the story. I do believe some of the things that are coming out, him being really controlling over his character. the Fiend character as well as the Bray Wyatt character, and you can tell you can pretty much tell the transition and when WWE took over. And see they were going to make money off of this. Like in the beginning, you could tell that Bray Wyatt had way more control over
Right.
the Firefly Funhouse segments. They weren't on as much. It was like here and there, like he had that slow build, which I think was a perfect way of doing it. But then after that, after when he started showing up every week, showing up on Monday Night Raw, just having just appearing out of nowhere, appearing in his regular Bray Wyatt gear, not even in his Fiend gear, just showing up on TV. Just it kind of took away the mystique of him actually being in ring as the Bray Wyatt character, and I think that was kind of like the when they started to get more hands on. Pretty much when they stopped talking about like all the Illuminati lizard people stuff. That's when I know. That's when I knew that okay, he's no longer in control. He's not writing his stuff anymore. Now WWE's taking over because that's. I thought, and then seeing like the Pentagon flash on screen and stuff like that.
Oh
like,
my god!
Just like all the
so wild to see that on WWE programming.
Yeah, once that stopped, you could tell like, all right, he's not doing it anymore. The creative team has control over the Bray Wyatt character from here on out, and that's where it pretty much went downhill, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, you said it perfectly. Like, I want to see him not only talk about this, like his last year or so in WWE, but like he can talk about so much during his entire run. Like looking back from 2013 all the way to 2021, like there's so much that he could break down and talk about that I just want to hear his side of the story. I've always said that like Bray Wyatt has been one of, if not the biggest missed booking opportunities that WWE has had right in front of their face.
Yep.
He had two huge gimmicks that worked so well, and somehow WWE managed to mess it up. So I am really interested to see what the backstage politics were behind, Bray's character, where, like you said, it kind of became a WWE thing, because maybe, part of me thinks that maybe they didn't have a lot of trust in Bray with the character. And then once they saw that it was getting over, that's when, Vince really wanted to capitalize on that and try to make as much money as possible from it. And obviously, to an extent, it worked because he was selling merch like it was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But it did ruin the gimmick at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So I will say we'll make for some good story, breaking stories coming soon. And I'm just looking forward to seeing where Bray goes from here. Will it be AEW? Will it be Impact? I mean, I have no idea where he's going to go. Before we move on, I mean, I guess I want to ask you, like, where do you see Bray going from here?
Man, I mean, obviously the choice for him would obviously be AEW, where you do have that creative freedom. But even recent comments, Tony Khan is he's the final say. Not as extensive as Vince McMahon is, but he's he took over more of a creative control, and he's doing a hell of a job. I mean, he's not doing a bad job at it. It's like every week on AEW Rampage and Dynamite, they're just killing it in every single match. Like literally pretty much all the storylines intersect somehow, and everyone has a story going on. So he is doing a great job at that. But I think if these stories are true, and when we hear Bray Wyatt's story, which I think we'll hear his story before we see him anywhere, like I think he'll come out and say what he feels and say what's on his mind, and then you'll see him appear somewhere else. So hopefully that's soon in both instances. But it seems like Impact would be the better for him to be creative, and for him to let his creative juices flow. I think it would be a better fit. And what better way to bring an A talent like that to Impact? Like how many eyes would be on Impact? Not that Kenny Omega didn't do his job, but I mean Bray Wyatt. I mean, if you're just gonna let him go and let him run with this character and see what he's gonna do with it, I mean, it's the possibilities are endless when it comes.
Sky's the limit when it comes to him. There's so much you could do with Bray Wyatt, and I'm just really looking forward to what angle, because you have to think whatever he's going to do, it's going to be nothing compared to nothing similar to what we've seen in WWE. He's not the type of person to take what he did in WWE, bring it to other companies. We're going to see something completely different from Bray. And I think that's what makes me so excited, is that creative freedom is going to run a little bit more wherever else he goes.
Yeah, and I've seen just before you jump off of this, I've seen theories or fan theories of him maybe even not even going and signing to a one organization. Maybe his new character that he's going to present maybe terrorizes all organizations. Maybe
that's the
where they have
Chad
that
theory,
where they have that Impact, AEW. New Japan, like kind of they all have that forbidden door open, and it's all almost a revolving door. Maybe he jumps from organization to organization and makes his presence felt. Maybe he does something like that. Who knows? I mean, that'd be pretty unprecedented if he was like one main character in all these other organizations. Obviously not in WWE, but just him terrorizing, and gathering, and building his family up again, essentially, because he has that cult of Wyndham as his new handle, so he might be building a cult. You never know. We'll see.
So much you could do with him. I'm looking forward to it. But what else I'm looking forward to, or maybe not, we'll have to see. But talking about Raw and SmackDown, so we had an interesting week when it came to the red and the blue brands. Let's start with SmackDown because that came first. We had a lot of interesting things, but for me, like, SmackDown wasn't really it for me this week. Like, he had just a few things that stood out to me, a few things that I really just don't want to see on the show in the future. And we'll get into it in a second. But first, I do want to shout out some people that we have in the chat. We got the Pro Wrestling Podcast. Hello, welcome. Of course, Tyson, always a staple here in our chat. And Austin. We got Tyson and Austin. And Austin. I love it. I love it. So, SmackDown, you had a few things. Like, I really was confused at the Shotzi heel turn. I wasn't really sure how to feel about that. But on the flip side, you had some good things, like we might be seeing a New Day versus Hit Row story, which I'm not opposed to that. But then, with the good and the bad, there was just a lot of like meh. You know what I mean? Like, there was the Drew McIntyre match and whatever Halloween shit that they did, and it all just kind of was just a meh SmackDown for me. What were you feeling about some of these things, like the Shotzi heel turn? Do you like where they're going with Hit Row? What do you think about SmackDown this week?
Pretty much the same. I mean, I didn't really take this episode as like a serious episode, since it's so close to Halloween and they were going to have that kind of, Halloween gimmicky type of things going on. Any WWE programming that's in or around any holidays, I usually like take them as kind of throwaways, but there are some tidbits where they do, carry on some storylines and things like that. As far as the Shotzi thing, I was kind of confused by that, because I'm not sure if is Sasha Banks supposed to be a face now. And
I couldn't tell you.
that was my thing. Like, is she gonna be the face of the baby face of SmackDown, and Charlotte's supposed to be this ultimate heel? And then I don't know, Shotzi gonna work with Charlotte somehow, or I'm not sure.
What I thought what it was going to be, because you can only do the 4 horsewomen so much with the 4 of them fighting each other, and I thought we were going to get heel Sasha versus a face Charlotte, because that would be the first time that we've seen something like that, and I think that would be like an interesting dynamic. But when you include Shotzi as a heel here, that automatic, and you turn her against Sasha, like, we have a few we do hot takes throughout the episodes for RAWDOWN. So if you have any hot takes, make sure you tell them as well. But I'll throw one right here. Shotzi as a heel is simply not going to work. Like, I could already see it right now. They're going to put her up against Sasha. Sasha will get the win, and it's just back to like the mid card for Shotzi. She'll be forgotten about. We'll do like a back to face turn. And I thought they would keep her face, because I figured Vince would have liked like the tank. We could do like a lot of merch there. But I don't. It's very weird for them to go in this route, I must say.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is the way, like, the way she looks, or the way she's presented, kind of looks like she's a heel. That's the only thing I can think of is, why they would go that route. But she's super marketable as a face. Like you said, the helmet with the horns, the tank, like I said, I'm surprised she doesn't even have like a figure yet.
Yeah,
I think I've been campaigning for that for the past like year. Ever since she like showed up on NXT. Just her overall presentation is like geared towards what like WWE would want in merchandising. Essentially, they do sell the helmet on WWE shop. They don't sell the tank, which would be pretty awesome if they did. But
oh man,
her merch sales are pretty. She has tons of merch on WWE shop. So I was kind of baffled by maybe it isn't a heel turn. Maybe it was something where she was kind of frustrated that Sasha Banks, once again interrupted a match, and I'm hoping that that's what it was. And like I said, I usually take those holiday type of Smackdowns or Raws and kind of toss them away. But we'll see this Friday if they build on it or whatever.
Part of me can look at it from either way, because sure, I don't think it's going to work because Shotzi feels like a natural face, but at the same time, I could see it working in their favor because one, Shotzi gets on the show if she's a heel. Already she's already put in a big spot with Sasha, so that's a good thing. And honestly, as dumb as it sounds, I could honestly see them going in the route of having Shotzi and Sasha kind of like Sasha blue hair versus Shotzi green hair, like it's the green versus blue, and now you can sell green wigs and blue wigs, and you have that in the crowd. Like that's an angle that I was thinking about. It's a very stupid angle, but it's something that they would do. So I mean, there's always that way to look at it. So I think there's some positive that you could take from it, but like outside of the Sasha feud, like I don't see this really going anywhere, and it makes me nervous for it.
Yeah, and it also it kind of makes you wonder like who on SmackDown's gonna face Charlotte? Who's that number one face that's gonna go out? Like
I couldn't tell you. I have no idea.
They literally took the women that she was feuding with, and they're on Raw now. Becky and Bianca. So and Liv is on Raw now too. So like I'm not sure who is besides like Shotzi. I think Toni Storm, who they're not really doing anything with either on SmackDown, which I'm kind of bummed about too, because she's one of the best talents that they have there as far as the ladies go.
Easily,
unless they're waiting for Bayley to come back. That's the only thing I can think of.
And can't come back faster, man.
Yeah,
there's such a big hole in the women's division without Bayley. She has been such a cornerstone for the division, and now that she's not here, it shows her impact on the division. So once she comes back, I think we might be in a better state. But even then, like you said, there's no one right now on SmackDown. They took all of the contenders. Liv was a huge one, and they pushed them all to Raw. And speaking of Raw, that kind of transitions us to kind of talking a little bit about Raw, because whereas we don't have a lot of kind of new stars or new things happening on SmackDown outside of like maybe Hit Row and I guess Shotzi, you're starting to see a lot of newer names being brought to the forefront on Raw, especially this past episode. You had Austin Theory beating Rey Mysterio. You had Damian Priest going over in a really good match against Dominic Dijakovic. Not T-Bar, but it was a no DQ match, which I thought was cool. You even had like Finn Balor and Chad Gable, which was I never saw that. That was not going to be on my 2021 bingo card, but
nope, not even close.
And even in the women's, you even got that Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan kind of face off, and if we could see that match, I will definitely be into it. What are you thinking about Raw lately? I honestly I'm impressed with how they're going in this direction. I don't think it's been as bad as it has been like earlier in the year. What have you been thinking about it?
I was literally actually thinking about this earlier, just about how, like you said, it's not where it could be or where it should be Raw from years past, but it's like, it seems like they're on a slow build. They're doing the right things. They're like, it's kind of like pacing. Like there's, the matches aren't super, over the top. I have to, I have to go run and see it, but they're getting there. Like you said, with, Finn Balor and Chad Gable, that like, who would have thought, like you said, who would have thought that match would even happen, let alone be awesome. Like obviously you put them two guys in the ring, they're going to, do their thing. Right. Damian Priest has grown on a lot of people. You can definitely see that they're pushing him as one of the younger talents on there. Austin Theory, like you said, like you are seeing a lot of younger guys and women on there. But the other thing we used to talk about too is earlier this year, we would say SmackDown was the A show. Like they were like, especially with like Roman Reigns and what's going on with what he's doing over there, and just the caliber of matches they were putting on compared to Raw earlier this year. They were considered like the A show compared to Raw, but now I think they made some moves where Big E's a champion now, so that's a fresh new face as a champion. Like you said, you have Liv over there now. You shared that face off with Becky, so that's going to happen. So that's something that people want to see because people are really behind Liv when it comes to that. They're starting to build up like Dominic Mysterio kind of breaking out on his own. It's a slow build. You can tell it's happening at some point. The father and son, they're gonna have a match, and it's gonna. I think it's gonna be like probably one of those heartbreaking matches you'll probably ever see because Rey Mysterio is gonna have to be the face, and Dominic's gonna have to be the heel. And Dominic's gonna have to, and Dominic's gonna have to beat up his dad, and that's gonna be very heartbreaking. But you can tell, like they went back to the drawing board, so to speak, and you can tell like the shows are getting a little bit better. They're not great. They're watchable. But I think it's going to be a slow build till the end of the year. I think at the beginning of next year, you'll see like a brand new Raw. And I think you'll just see them hit their stride and getting back to, we got to watch Monday Night wrestling essentially.
It's like
unless AEW comes out of the woodwork and says we have a Monday Night show, then
that's it. That's it right there. If they throw in a Monday show, that's it. But like you can slowly start to see not just Raw getting better, but like SmackDown progressively getting worse.
Yes.
And I think the draft was a huge thing on that. Because for me, and sure, we're still like really early into it, so we got to wait it out. But like for me, the whole objective for SmackDown should have been to revamp the roster in a way that you get some new matchups for Roman. And like outside of Drew, I couldn't tell you someone who really is going to go up against Roman. And not just that, but while I'm saying that you needed people to go against Roman, not only did they do that, but they also took people away from Charlotte. So now you're in a situation where you have no contenders. It's going, like you said, a very slow build. Whereas now, Raw, you have all the contenders in the world. You got Rollins, you got Theory, you got Damian Priest, Liv Morgan, even Queen Zelina, or whatever you want to call her now. But like, you got all these different people. So it makes it a little more interesting. And I think Raw definitely needed to take the win from this draft. And I think they did. We're just gonna have to wait and see on like the development and how it comes about. But honestly, like I'm okay with where we're at for Raw. I think this past show was definitely like a good example. If we're going in this direction, like I'm perfectly fine with it. I know Raw's had like a bad reputation, especially on the Turnbuckle Tavern, of not being the greatest show. But if you keep pushing your young guys and you give us interesting stories, like even what we are seeing now with like Big E, Kevin Owens, and Seth Rollins, you're in for a good Raw for the next couple of months. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be pretty good, at least better than what we've been getting, which is not saying much, but I think you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, you can definitely tell when the tide is turning when you hop on like Twitter. And you really don't see any. I haven't seen any negative comments really. Like stuff here and there, but like Raw hasn't been totally obliterated on social media as far as being bad. So you can tell that they're definitely someone's listening. Someone's their social media guy or gal needs definitely a raise for going through that and taking pointers from the WWE universe, so to speak, and
I would just love to see the WWE social media team's phone whenever they post something. It's always just flooded with AEW comments, and it's even worse when like a big piece of AEW news comes out, because it could be like the most minor, like a happy birthday post to the most minor guy on the card, and it's flooded with AEW comments. It's heartbreaking, but it's very funny nonetheless. So we're talking about all the good, the great stuff, good stuff coming out of Raw and SmackDown, but it is now time for a segment that we like to call the chopping block. Marco, if there is one segment that you would cut from, you could either do Raw, SmackDown, or Raw and SmackDown, which segment would you cut and why?
This from the shows from the past week shows.
Yeah, from this past SmackDown and Raw.
Let's see. On SmackDown, I would definitely cut the Tricker street fight or whatever that was with Corbin and just making Shinsuke Nakamura lose was. I mean, like I said, I don't take those episodes or those matches too seriously. They really don't help like the progression of a storyline or anything like that. But like, I don't think you need it. Essentially, it was a waste of time. That match for me personally, anyway. And then the two guys, the two guys that helped out Corbin win, at the end, that reveal was. It was
so anticlimactic.
It was awful.
Like there was nothing that was interesting about. I even forgot that it happened.
I don't even know who won the match. And no one cared at all. But yeah, definitely cut that from SmackDown. Raw, let me think. Raw's a little bit harder to cut.
Because
there wasn't
Imagine saying that, something hard there wasn't anything from Raw.
Too bad. I mean, what they can do is like limit some of the, for me anyway, is limit some of the Riddle backstage stuff. Because sometimes he's funny. To me, he's only funny when he's interacting with Randy Orton. Just because he plays off of Randy Orton really well with Randy Orton gets like annoyed at him and stuff like that. That makes me laugh. But when he's like interacting with other people, it just, for me, it doesn't do it for me. So maybe limit Riddle in his backstage annex, and just if they are going to do it, throw Randy Orton in it so he can feed off of him and make it funny for me anyway. That's my own personal thing.
Yeah, they got to be careful with Riddle because I've always said that his humor is very hit or miss. So if they go to, and obviously they are going in the route of just making him this like goofy character, I don't have a problem with it because like if he's down with it and he's pulling it off well, like so be it. But like you can't have this Riddle forever. You need to build off of this. So that's why like a lot of people have even been saying like instead of Orton being the one to turn heel, why don't you have Riddle turn heel on Orton? Something different. I don't know how, if you could even, I think that puts them in a situation where they have to move on from this Riddle gimmick and, make him more serious and, give him a better presentation than he's getting right now. And really like this is the perfect time to do it because when you have Big E as your world champion, now you have a situation where you could have face Big E, who's incredibly over right now, not just in WWE, but like in media, period. He is all over the place. He was just on the Breakfast Club. You know what I mean? Like he is everywhere. So you have face Big E going up against heel Riddle. I think that could be like a really interesting dynamic. So they just have to be careful with it. Knowing WWE will get a Randy heel turn regardless, but like I think it could be interesting if they went in that direction.
Yeah, I think so too.
As far as something I would cut, honestly, like the Halloween stuff, I think that goes without saying. But for me, for Raw, the only thing I would cut is, and this is very specific, but Dominic's interference in the Austin Theory and Rey Mysterio match, just because I wanted a clean finish. We already got Austin Theory pinning Jeff Hardy. Why don't you have him pin Mysterio as well? I think that could be a really cool dynamic to start building him up a little bit. And sure, getting the pinfall win over him regardless, that's a big thing in itself. And it's going to help him a lot. You can tell that they're very high on Austin Theory.
Oh, yeah.
But, I would have liked to. Plus, I don't like this whole Dominic and Rey storyline to begin with. I think it's been dragging on a little bit too long now. And by a little bit, I mean far too long.
Yeah.
But I think getting just a clean finish from Austin Theory could have done a lot to help. But regardless, they're still high on him. So I'm not too nervous about that. But moving on, because, there's only so much you can chop from WWE. Until you start chopping, 75% of the show. But it is now time for the match of the week. No need to explain what this is all about. What is your number one match from this week?
Oh man, from both shows, geez. I might have to give it to the opener of Raw of Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair. That
Yeah,
match
fair.
went on for like a half. I think it was like it seemed like it was 30 minutes. It went through a lot of commercial breaks.
Yeah.
That match, and they played that whole match like perfect. Like they gave that like sense of Bianca was gonna win, and then obviously she didn't. A few times she kicked out of a lot of Becky Lynch's move set and stuff like that, so it didn't make her look weak. And she did some kind of like heel things where she put her foot on the rope after she got the manhandle slam or whatever it's called. So yeah, no, that match right there. I mean, there's been a lot of shaky things about whether Becky Lynch is going to be seen as a heel, but she is trying. You can tell she is playing it up. And the other side of that is this going to kill Bianca's mystique? Is she going to like just be relegated down now that you've seen Liv Morgan jump into the title picture? What happens to Bianca Belair? But I think that match made them both look equally as strong. Like you got your slimy heel Becky, escaping, just by a hair. And you had Bianca Belair, still looking strong, and it's just another defeat. She almost reminds me kind of like a John Cena when John Cena was facing The Rock. That whole like when he lost to The Rock in Miami and he's just sitting on the ramp just sad, that type of thing. So I think that's gonna help elevate Bianca more. I'm hoping anyway. I'm hoping she doesn't get pushed down lower to the mid card. But I mean, I just see her as a main event star. And I think it's just gonna be it's gonna make that story more wonderful when she actually does get her hands on Becky Lynch or whoever the champion is at the time and get that title back. So.
Yeah, they've been killing it with the four of Bailey, the one person that wasn't involved in everything I say, of Becky, Sasha, Charlotte, and Bianca. Those four have been just being paired up in these matches. Becky and Sasha, Becky and Bianca, Charlotte and Bianca, having all these different matches. They've been killing it. They've been getting the time. They've been capitalizing on that time. And really, I mentioned Bailey, Bianca's taking that role really well of kind of slotting herself into, like I said, the empty hole that is Bailey not being on the women's division right now. And she's been killing it, and that's why I think like you mentioned maybe slotting down Bianca or the possibility of them slotting down Bianca in the mid card. I can't even see it at this point. I feel like Bianca's way too hot right now for them to even consider, slotting down. Like you have a solid core, like your top four women right now are those four women that I just mentioned. I don't see any reason for them not to be the top stars for the next part of this, the next part of these next few months, closer to a year. This is as solid of a women's division as you can get as far as your upper tier. But now you need to start building up that lower tier. And, names like Liv Morgan and Toni Storm and Shotzi, that's really where you start to build up the new contenders to really freshen up the division. And I mentioned Shotzi, and honestly, that's going to be my match of the week. I'll go with Shotzi and Charlotte on this one. Really, just because I just love the dynamic of these two going at it. I think Shotzi really impressed in her debut here. Of course, the inclusion of Sasha kind of made it weird, and the heel turn we already talked about. But still, I think the two of them really put on a really solid match. I'm really happy that they're putting Shotzi, I can't speak, in this spot. And Charlotte is Charlotte. Like, say what you will about her, but she's probably the most consistent in-ring worker in the women's division that WWE has right now. That might be another hot take, but whatever. But she's definitely up there. And to put her in the ring with Shotzi, I think it was a really good matchup. And it makes me excited for both of their futures, because now you look towards Charlotte versus Sasha. Of course, that match is going to happen. Plus, Survivor Series is around the corner. You're also going to get Charlotte versus Becky. And with all the backstage stuff that's going on there, that makes me very excited to see these two get in the ring. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to go with that match. And I guess an honorable mention could go to maybe the New Day and Usos tag team match.
That match was really good.
Yeah, I mean, always like when those two get in the. Once I saw that they were drafted on the same show, I was like, back to
Yeah.
normalcy
Yep.
in the tag team division. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Shotzi and Charlotte for that for match of the week. I also had one more hot take that I didn't mention earlier on. We can kind of just briefly talk about them before we get into our final segment. Hot take: Hit Row is going to be huge on SmackDown. Already, their presentation these last few weeks have really put them in a good spotlight. They're already in a big feud, or it looks like they're going to be in a big feud with the New Day. They have the look. They've got the mic skills. They're good in the ring. How are you feeling about Hit Row? Do you think they're going to be a big deal on SmackDown?
Yeah, I definitely got that, especially with their, how they're presented and how they debuted and stuff like that on SmackDown, which is pretty similar on what they did with on NXT at the time when they kind of formed Hit Row. But yeah, no, they're definitely going to be one of the bigger factions there, because obviously, WWE is kind of low on the faction list. They're not. We always joke around they're not huge fans of factions essentially, but now you have like the Bloodline too as well on SmackDown. So maybe hey, you never know, they might get a little frisky and want to take on the Bloodline and join the Island of Relevancy. You never know, so that could possibly happen.
I would love promo wars between Paul Heyman and B-Fab. I think
oh my god, would be so great.
That would be amazing. But yeah, Hit Row is going to be, at least for my hot take, they're gonna be interesting. I like the idea. I wonder if they would go as far as like the main star, if they would stick with Swerve Scott, because it feels like Top Dollar is getting like the most shine.
It does look like that. Yeah.
And I'm not opposed to it. Like he's got the presentation to him. He's already got the controversy with everything that happened with the Young Bucks. But maybe we see a Top Dollar versus Roman Reigns match in the future.
Yeah,
I would
can
be
definitely
opposed
see
to
that.
it.
Yeah, especially if the Bloodline is, it's not really a rumor. I've seen it floating around, like, with the stuff going on with Naomi and Sonya Deville, and her trying to get like a match on SmackDown, and she did get her match, but obviously she got jumped. But her possibly joining the Bloodline kind of evens out the Hit Row in the Bloodline going at it. So we'll see. We might
give me War Games, man. Give me War Games with those two teams. And you know what? Throw in Legado de Fantasma too, because they have what's her name, Elektra Lopez now.
Yes, that'd
just
be
throw
awesome.
Throw all of them in the cage.
Yeah, just a 3-way like faction War Games.
I thought we were going to get the Bloodline, the New Day, and the Hurt Business at Survivor Series and War Games. That's originally what I thought we were going to get. But now you have another shot to do it. So I hope that they don't squander on this potential. But they will. Nevertheless, let's get into this final segment. Who won the week? Give me your ratings, 1 to 5 stars for Raw and SmackDown, and tell me who won the week.
Oh man. So for SmackDown, 1 to 5. Let's see. I'm gonna give it we'll give it a 2, 2.5. We'll go with SmackDown.
2.5, okay.
And Raw, since it definitely was the better of the shows, I'm gonna go and give it a 4.
Ooh, all right.
It was to me, Raw won the week as far as like I said, the caliber of matches that they put on, just like we spoke about earlier. There's just a freshness that it seems like it has now. Obviously, SmackDown has some new faces on it as well, but for this Monday night, it definitely did seem like there was like almost like a change in the air, just the way the presentation looked, and just how like one of the matches like we spoke about earlier was Damian Priest and T-Bar, like pretty much two new guys to the audience. So it wasn't Damian Priest and a veteran alongside, like there was no middle person to that was in that match that you were watching just these two young guys go at it. So like you said, Austin Theory and Rey Mysterio, like I just think overall it's just a presentation for for Raw. And just, Big E as champion. I mean, he's been proven that he's definitely the WWE champion. He carries himself like a champion. He talks that talk. He needs to get when he needs to get serious. He's getting serious. He's not all jokey joke, as he proved in that main event. He'll definitely go the limits to keep that title. And I mean, Raw was it for me this week.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you. Raw definitely won the week for me as well. As far as ratings, I would go SmackDown like a strong 1.5 to a week 2. I wasn't feeling it this week. Yeah, I don't know what it was. I really liked the opening with Charlotte, and the match was great. Usos and it kind of just went downhill from there. Whereas Raw, you have so much to look forward to. And I can't believe that we're saying that, but there's so much that you could be interested in with Raw right now. You have the young stars, you have not just young stars, but just new guys that are being pushed. We joke about it, but like T-Bar and Damian Priest having a no DQ match. They were doing all these different spots. It was entertaining. And it makes me interested to see like where they go from here, because now you have all these different storylines. You got Seth and Big E, you throw Kevin Owens in the mix, Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch. I think now you even have like AJ and Omos going against the Street Profits. All these different matchups. Yeah, it should be. I'm interested to see maybe like how Montez Ford could pull off some type of huge frog splash onto Omos. Maybe he even climbs up on his shoulders to do one on AJ. That could be. He
might do something like that, because he pulled out some crazy on Monday Night Raw. He did some like where he jumped over. He like grabbed the ropes. And he jumped over the turnbuckle. He did some like type. That he's amazing, man. That guy's insane. I'm actually glad he's on Raw, because I mean he's definitely someone, that's obviously Raw is their main show, and you definitely need someone like him on that, especially if they down the line they do want to push him as a singles guy, which is I think is
primed.
It's gonna happen at some point. It's inevitable. He has the look. He actually got. I noticed this. So he got bulkier. Did you notice this at all? He looks more jacked.
Yeah,
he got like his shoulder.
I can like, see that.
Yeah, so like that tells you right there that he's kind of, especially after they gave him Roman Reigns on SmackDown before the draft. That main event was awesome. Like he proved that he can hold his own against Roman Reigns, without the Usos getting involved and stuff like that. But yeah.
Part of me feels like that that Roman Reigns match was kind of like a tryout for him, and I think he passed with flying colors. I think so. Like, he outside of like that little announce table spot, which when it just collapsed. When he stood on it.
That happened. Happened. It was Tony Storm that happened to on NXT. One of the matches, she went to go pull the monitor off and just completely collapsed. So, I mean, that wasn't his fault essentially, but
of course. But everything besides that, I would say like easily, and I'm really excited for a potential singles run with him.
Yeah, definitely.
And so that wraps up everything here on the RAWDOWN. Raw definitely won the week. A lot of good things to take from this week, a lot of not so good things, but nevertheless, we are going to put a nice little bow on this episode of the RAWDOWN. Marco, I want to thank you so much for coming out here and filling in for the two folks who couldn't make it tonight, but thankfully I get to share the spotlight with you, and I would rather do that than the old man Tom and J Bone any day of the week. But nevertheless, tell the folks where you can find the Chick Foley Show. Plug yourself, plug your social medias, take all the time you need.
Oh man, so you can definitely find us on all social media platforms. So Chick Foley Show on Twitter, you have Chick Foley on Instagram. As far as the show, it's literally everywhere on all your DSPs, so your digital streaming platforms. So Apple, Spotify. Like I said, we're doing YouTube videos now too, so you can visually see us. You can hear us everywhere. I mean, we're not going anywhere anytime soon. And if you aren't a Foley fan member, a premium member anyway, you can definitely sign up at chickfoleyshow.com. Just $1 a month, it gets you in. You get to join the Facebook group where we, talk figures, we talk wrestling, we help each other out to find figures. Obviously, like if you live in certain parts of the country the distribution problems are horrendous. Most Targets and Walmarts are awful. Like in my area, and I'm on the East Coast, we literally get nothing. So glad to be a part of a group that lives in an area where they get like literally everything. And when we do help each other out, it's cost plus shipping. That's it. Nothing. We don't jack prices up. We're not eBay. We don't make you pay outlandish prices for anything or anything like that. But the more importantly, like you get to, we're on there frequently. Myself, Sheena, aka Chick Foley, and Seth. We're always interacting with everyone. We do with this pay-per-views, we'll do like a live chat. We'll like set up a group chat and we'll chat with everyone throughout the whole pay-per-view pretty much. And we have our Foley Picks League that we do. So everyone in the group, we get our picks for an upcoming pay-per-view, and see who the master is at, picking the results. So yeah, I mean, it's a fun time. Definitely, if you haven't listened yet, definitely jump on. I mean, obviously we're also a part of the the Pod Foundation as well with Turnbuckle Tavern, the Extra Cooler Show. We just have a lot of content that we're pumping out week to week. So, I mean, what are you waiting for? Definitely listen and watch when you can.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't endorse those guys enough. They're doing some amazing stuff. Definitely check out their show. Do the Patreon. Do anything you can to support them because they deserve it. Also, just a cheap plug. Once again, Classic Match Classroom. We got a new episode coming out on Sunday. We are covering in episode 10. We are covering Brett versus Shawn 1997. The Montreal Screwjob. We're gonna cover
touchy.
we're not just the moment itself, but the feud. A lot of it's gonna be an interesting time, and I'm sure my co-host Tyler is just gonna love talking about 1997 Shawn. He's got some thoughts on that, so you definitely want to stay tuned for that one. But yeah, of course, you can find us everywhere. I don't need to plug myself right now, but I will plug the Tavern because, again, not because I have to, but I want to, because those guys, again, we're doing some amazing stuff over here on the Turnbuckle Tavern. If you give us an iTunes review, you get a free sticker. I don't know how it works, but somehow you're getting a sticker if you give us a review. So, hell, it's worth it.
Tom hand delivers it to you.
You see, you need a sticker hand delivered from the OG Fig Kid himself.
Yeah, hand delivers it.
I hear he signs them too. I'm kidding. He should, but he doesn't. We do a lot of giveaways. I think we got some big ones coming soon. The other guys are better at plugging this stuff than I am. So go watch. That gives you a reason to watch our other episodes because you can hear more about the whole plug situation. But whatever.
There you go.
Yeah. So once again, Marco, thank you so much for coming on. You are invited anytime to the RAWDOWN. Hope to see you again soon.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Thank you for having me. This is very enjoyable. I love talking all things WWE when I can, and I'll jump on anytime.
Absolutely. Well, until then, folks, thank you so much for watching, listening, wherever you're tuning in. Support the Turnbuckle Tavern. Support the Chick Foley Show. Support all wrestling podcasters. Love, peace, and pro wrestling.